Um, One other thing I'd like to talk to you about is the Mirage shears, particularly the B line, the ebony, the blush, and of course the Mirage B 15, 40, and 32 thinners. Um, the advantage to these, of course, is that they have teeth on both blades, and therefore they don't leave a line in the hair. And for those of you who are new and not really uh, familiar with the problems that stylists have, that's one of the problems that they do have is they love to have a thinner blender or even a texturizer that they can go in and erase lines on hair. For instance, I have blondish hair. A lot of times if they're doing a layered cut, I end up with lines in my hair. A thinner blender or a texturizer is one way that they can eliminate those lines very easily without having to do a lot of point cutting. It gives them a more consistent cut, and it also saves them time. But on a traditional thinner, a lot of the times they're softening one line but establishing another, and they therefore have to go in at an angle to do a little bit more texturizing, and here again it's more work. The beauty of these shears is that doesn't happen. They can eliminate the line that they've caused with their regular shears without having to do anything but come in and straight cut with these shears. It's a shear that if you show them the shear and have them use them for a few minutes, usually if there's 6 gals in a salon, usually 3 or 4 of them will end up buying this shear once one has, because they can see the benefits of it pretty quickly. But it's a shear that you need to make sure that you put in their hands and that they use so that they can see what it does. And the handle design, it looks very odd. I agree with you entirely. When I first saw it, I thought, whoa, that's weird. And I picked it up. Surprisingly, it was very comfortable. So that's another reason to have a stylist actually hold these shears and try them out. One last thing I'd like to talk about is fitting a shear to the hands of a stylist. Whenever we sell a shear, as you know, they come with a set of finger sizers. And the reason they do that is, for most people, having a scissor, they should be cutting with that shear somewhere between their first and the end of their finger and their first knuckle, both for the thumb and the finger. That's how they get the most power down the blade. That's how they have the most control. However, if this ring is too big, as you can see it as it is with this finger, it's just slopping around in there. What happens is that my hand realizes that it has to have more control, and so all of my fingers end up gripping this handle more tensely to make up for the fact that this is really sloppy. So that's why you need to fit shears to the stylist. That's why we give you the finger sizer rings, so that you can fit that in there to decrease the amount of size in the hole so that it'll fit her more comfortably. Now, like on this shear, I still can put my finger through there pretty easily. So I don't have an extra small here, but I would be putting an extra small inside of this ring. On the thumb, actually, this will go down too far on my thumb as well. And so I'm going to slip a sizer in that as well. The way that you can explain to stylists is that it's kind of like when you have a pair of shoes that are too big. In order to keep them on your feet, you kind of scrunch up your toes so that that shoe won't fall off. It's the same thing with shears. Your hand senses that it needs to put more tension and pressure in order to get control and in order to get power all the way down to the end of the blade. So fitting those shears so that they fit comfortably on their hands is going to make a big difference, as not only how she feels herself physically at the end of the day, but also how well those shears cut for her. Because a lot of times, if the tension is not correct and her hand and the way it fits her finger and thumb is part of that tensioning factor, if it's not correct, a lot of times the scissor will push hair or fold hair, and it's not really the fault of the sharpness of the blade, it's really the fault of the fit of the scissor. So that's really important to do. That's another reason it's a good idea sometimes if you're new to go in and offer to fit stylists. Let's say that they say, hey, we have a sharpener, we don't really need anybody, but if you can go in and say, well, you know what, that's great, but I would be more than happy to fit your stylist scissors, one pair, to their hands for no charge. And that way they remember that. especially if you have different colors. They love it, and it really is providing a service to them at really low cost to you, which allows them to remember who you are and call you back later. Thank you so much for listening to this. It's not really professional. You know, we're kind of low key, but we hope that this would help you a little bit in your sales techniques and make the new year a more prosperous one for you. Thank you. Goodbye.